we think that everything that's we absorb and we love here in America is the flash, the flare, and all of that. So we associate so much with views, money, and all of these things and how it looks.
Right. Yes, perception is reality.
And sometimes it's about more than manifesting. You got to do the work.
When that question is posed, I feel like it can come from two different places. I feel like when you like, well, how did they get that? Like, it can come from a place of true curiosity or a place of envy and jealous, like a space of comparison. Like, wait, how did this mofo got 10,000 views off of this one thing? Like,
yeah, man.
Happened?
I mean, it does get that way when you see people who are doing so much better than you, and you're comparing what you're doing to what they're doing, and you don't see any difference. Not even saying that yours is better, but it's just like, okay, I only wanted to watch this for 2 seconds, and my stuff is getting 30 seconds of retention, and they have 40,000 views,
right?
And I have 8.
Right.
So, you kind of get into that, but like you said, you start trying to figure out, what do I need to do to get my stuff working? What are they doing? Because some people know certain things. There's a lot of tips and tricks.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. Like, you gotta get out there, and you got to be willing to pay. Like, a lot of people be holding some of these secrets behind the paywall. Like, they know, add this or do certain things. Like, there's a lot of secrets to, algorithms and all of that stuff too.
Yeah, that right there.
Because they're built by people. I mean, I work with people who do machine.
Anybody that work with Instagram, TikTok, Facebook algorithms. I make a mean seafood mac and cheese, yams. Tell me what you need. I got you. Just hook a sister up. Like, especially now I get paid for my reels on Facebook. Hook a sister up.
True. You ready?
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right, man. Let's kick this off the right way, because a lot of people may have been feeling down, but welcome you to the peak. I can't even get this right.
You got it. First you don't succeed.
Oh, man. Whatever. We're going to skip the intro. Welcome to the Keep It Uplifting podcast. I am uplifting, and I have Rich Auntie back for another episode. I appreciate you.
No problemo. Like, can they hear what we was talking about before? Like,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We not gonna talk about that.
We can.
I mean, because we could, like, bad boy. We could spin a block on it real quick. Just kind of let the people know, like, when you see other people doing things, like, it's okay to question it, but as long as you're coming from a place of curiosity and not a place of envy. Like, like, not how they get to do it, why I didn't get to do it. It's like, yo, how they get there? I'm trying to get there. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't feel like there's any bad thought process, because then if you see someone get into a place, you want to study it, because you can learn something rather than, like, compare, like, damn, how they get there? How they get there? I'm putting in the same amount of work. It's like, sometimes it just may not also be your time yet.
Yeah, timing is everything.
It is.
Yeah, I feel like I said that before, but it never. It's not that you don't have to hear it again, is what I'm trying to say. Like, you can hear that as many times, because that's a truth.
Yes.
All
it takes is for that, literally that 1 second, for you to hit share, and it's like, bam, viral.
I was reading and this is a little off topic, and we're gonna get to the topic that we came here to discuss.
Okay.
For all the listeners, but or at least what the title will say. But I was reading A Millionaire Next Door, and it was talking about how, and this is an older book too, so I feel like some of it's very relevant today, but it's all about financial literacy. But we think that everything that's we absorb and we love here in America is the flash, the flare, and all of that. So we associate so much with views, money, and all of these things and how it looks.
Right. Yes, perception is reality.
And you don't have to even do stuff on social media to make money.
Right.
There's a lot of people who are pesticide people, right? Or rodents and all of that.
Because we know some of y'all got roaches. Oh, never mind. Never mind.
But they get bread though.
Yeah.
Like they're millionaires. They're not your flashy or there's no flair to it, and they dress a certain way so that their employees don't see that they're making a certain amount of money and get jealous as well.
That's
like,
so funny.
There's just a lot of things that go unseen and go unsaid that we don't really hear about or talk about because they're not sexy. Like It's not a sexy thing to see a guy with, 3 or 4 kids. His wife stays at home and he's working on roofs all day and he looks a mess and he really doesn't even work. He has a bunch of teams and trucks out. And
he sounds sexy though.
Right.
He sounds so appealing. He sounds like he need a back rub and a sandwich.
Right. But and he's getting that. And he's also not blowing a bunch of money. He has,
except on his wife, but that's okay.
Well, I'm just saying he has domestic cars.
Right.
Right. He doesn't have these, and they may seem kind of luxurious, but they're not really luxury vehicles.
Right.
Everything is utilized. The investments are 20% of the salary that they're making. And this guy, when you see him, he don't have on a Rolex or anything. He got on a nice watch, maybe a Timex, a nice, stainless steel joint. But he's worth $12 million. Ooh, his family is worth $12 million.
He sounds sexy, but hold the 3 to 4 kids. He sounds sexy. If you out there, I'm looking for you.
But I wanted to say that because, everything, a lot of things are, and we talk about content a lot on here. We don't talk about blue collar work. I don't really even talk about white collar work, the work that I do. But
the work that I don't like, I don't like it.
but you can make money outside of just being a social media influencer. So I just wanted to put that out there. I know I talk about it a lot. That's what we do. That's kind of where we're at. That's how we market. And there's nothing wrong with marketing yourself that way. But at the end of the day, you can have your own business that is not on social media.
Exactly.
And you making way more money than these people out here trying to sell you courses and tell you how to get it.
Exactly. Think about the regular mom and pop moving companies that they're in several different states and things such as that. Like you may see them, or even for instance, like the crab spot that I go to, right? Like, I was in there, we were talking about social media and he was just like, oh, I wish, certain days I was like, why don't you post more? And I was like, better yet, word of mouth. Like I'm a big believer of word of mouth. As much as we have social media as marketing, word of mouth has been and will always be, to me, the best marketing you could ever have.
There's a seafood spot we gotta hit. It's and the guy, his name's like D Young something, and he's actually he's like an influencer, but he has businesses, and one of his businesses is the Seafood 1117 or 1107. I know I'm getting it wrong, but we'll check it out. We'll do a little video of us going to grab some food from there.
I love food. Count me in.
But just when you said that, I'm just saying, like, people love to eat.
Right.
People need heat.
Right. The essentials, is the necessities of life.
Taxes.
Yes. Yo, my tax man is legit.
Like laundromats. All of this stuff is things that if you use that money the right way, you can be a millionaire. You can be profitable. And you can have some of the things that other people have. It's just you also don't want to, if you're going to overutilize, you got to over income. You got to have more coming in than always. You always got to have more coming in than you putting out. Period.
Definitely.
And that's the key to
I've learned
being a millionaire.
I've definitely learned that, like, being in this new space that I'm in, I've definitely, even though I feel like I've been pretty decent with money, like definitely grown over time, of course. Right. But being in the particular space that I'm in, I'm no longer that impulsive person. Like, so I'm gonna kind of go ahead and segue into what we were talking about, like being in the space that I'm in now, not having the traditional 9 to 5, which my traditional 9 to 5, like we were saying, regular working jobs, basically funded me to be able to start my business and be a creator and things such as that matter. So don't feel like you have to just get into being a creator. Like, try to be as strategic as you can be with it. But like I said, being in this particular space, I realize I'm not as impulsive to get certain things or do certain things because I no longer have that guaranteed check that's about to hit. And what I realized is I was speaking to my spiritual mom, I call it, like one of my spiritual moms, Mama Sharon, and I told her, I was like, hey, I realized like I'm having a little trouble with my faith, and I've been operating in some fear, and I realized I had a false sense of faith because I knew I had a check coming. So it's just like, because I knew that check was coming, I felt okay, like, whew, well, I could do this, I could do that because I know this. It was never my faith, right? Like I knew that check was coming, so it just like I felt like, I have faith. I walk in my faith, and it's like in other aspects I really was, but once I removed that, I realized I really was operating a false sense of faith, and it was like it kind of shook me for a second. I was like, nope, I can't get that. Can't do that. Oh, I can't buy this merchandise right now, like, because when I'm gonna replace this money for this money, like, whew, okay, I just seen this account go down by $200. Oh, this is scary. Like, it really put me in a whole nother space where before I was like low key misthrow it in the bag. Like, yeah. So now it's like, it's different, which I appreciate this space because whereas before I may get something just like, you know what, I can push that, right? Like, and not worry about it. Now it's like, okay, I can push it, but how soon can I get my return on this? How much marketing am I going to really have to push through? Like, can I get one of my brand ambassadors to create content? If I give them that, how much is it? Like, literally, the space has put me to where I have to ask a different set of questions. Right. And those different set of questions kind of put a little unnerving on me. And it really, really took for me to have a conversation with her and kind of like bring me back to my grounding to get back into my faith. Mm-hmm. And she said, you already operate in your faith and you don't even realize it. Right. And I was like, but how, what you mean? She was like, you took a leap of faith when you left that job because you knew it wasn't going to work, but you knew you could figure it out. Right. And you knew you could figure it out because you knew God was going to work it out for you. Right. You started a business. She was like, you took a leap of faith by calling me to even have this conversation because you don't know what was going to come out of it, but you knew you needed to have it because you knew God directed you. So she was like, you're acting in faith and you don't realize it. She was like, don't allow that little bit of discouragement. That's nothing but negative energy just coming into your space to get you to stay in that, complacent, like to go back to the job and be complacent. And it's like when you get into those spaces, it's just like you don't realize it. Like you're literally operating in fear rather than faith because it's just like, do you believe in yourself? Like, do you believe it's going to work out? Right. Do you believe in your own hustle? Like, do you believe that you're going to make sure that you can eat? Right. Do you believe that you're not going to let yourself, and even when things may not fall as you may want them to, you knew you tried, right, you learned something, right, yeah. You put your best foot forward and you just know that God's going to line it. But in all of those things, whether it comes out good or bad, you're learning, you're growing, right. and you can't, faith without any work is what? Just a dream. So you out here, you putting in the work. I'm a firm believer. When you get an idea, that is literally God planning it in for you. Now you just got to do the work to make it come through because he going to put everything in place and line it up for you. But you ain't going to be able to get to step B if you don't even start at step A. So just going through those steps and having that conversation, I was like, I'm tripping. Like, like I'm tripping. Like I do believe in me. I do believe that. And then everything came full circle. I watched this sermon and I shared it with you, like expectancy. Right. I was like, right. Why am I not expecting things to work out for me? Like,
if you have faith or whatever you believe in, if you have faith in God, for one, why'd you
Right.
ask?
Hello,
Why
ask and you shall receive.
why are you asking for
God,
these things? You know, and
I'm
even,
asking for a couple meals.
you know, even for the people, universe, whatever. But if
Right.
you asking for these things, if you have this belief, because that's what you spoke about, I
Right.
like that a lot, because that was like one of my best motivational walks. Like as far as views and interaction was when I talked about how like the power of self-belief, but the power of self-belief is because you're willing to step out on faith.
Right. And I feel like we're in this space where people like manifest, like that's your belief.
Right.
Like, and then you
I
actually
say it all the time.
you're working into it. That's you manifesting it.
It's about more than manifesting.
You gotta do the work. Right. Like
Yeah.
you literally have to do the work. Like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to have this. Now, how am I going to get there? I'm going to take it step by step, and I'm going to every day. Like, I'm a firm believer of like, I've learned to start writing things down, and I set small goals for myself. Like, this was something I wasn't good at before. I am very much a on the fly type of person. I feel like it's the New Yorker in me. Like, I'm a hustler. Like, I'm gonna figure it out on the spot. But it's also survival. Right. Like, which I no longer want to survive. I want to thrive. That was my birthday wish for the year. And that's something I feel like I'm almost there. Not quite, but I'm almost there. I'm knocking at the door like, let me in. Because even though it's a great space to be in, it's also very much a kind of like it's almost like a form of PTSD.
Yeah.
Right. Like, because it's kind of like fight or flight.
Right.
And it's like when you're kind of like back against the wall, you got to figure it out. But it's like, you don't always have to be in such a space of urgency, more or less. Like, if you work up to it, like, all right, I know I want to get these things done. Like, how do I get it done?
I feel like that's cocky and that's ego, to be honest, because we feel like we can will ourselves to do stuff. And that's great. Mm-hmm. But even your will can cause you to have missteps.
Of course.
You know, so you have to write things down. You have to have some type of structure. I can't remember the quote, but essentially in a nutshell, a man who doesn't have a plan for the following day is leading a horrible life. You know what I'm saying? Like you have a life without structure. No, but seriously, like you don't know what you're getting up to do, so why would you even get up out the bed? You don't got nothing. You don't have nothing to go after. Right. So just the fact, like you said, just writing things down just a little bit more is adding to the hustle and empowering you to be even greater. Yeah. 'Cause now you're a businesswoman. And not just a hustler. Like the hustler term is sexy.
Right. It's cute. No, it's not. But I'm lying. It's not. It's not.
But
cute
like
now.
you think about hustlers, right? A hustler will be hustling the same block.
Not realizing that it's forever. like 17 other blocks and nobody, and they're vacant.
Or he been doing the same hustle forever, thinking he a businessman. He hustling. He always going out, going to get it, selling this, selling that, selling this, selling that. Why you ain't get a store?
By now,
why you don't got e-commerce?
Right.
Why you don't got anything different? You been doing the same. You know, the joke used to be, you still selling weed?
Right.
Like, it's 2022. Like you still selling weed? Come on.
Why you don't have a strand in the business by now? Like, come on.
You know you can get a license. They sell this at stores, right?
But
like,
I feel like that is I truly believe that's a product of being in an environment of small thinking people.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and that ties back into like, why don't we expect things to be better? Right? Because we're taught to just be grateful for what we have. Right? So it's like, if you want more, you almost kind of like, it's kind of implied that you're being greedy. Right? Like, or it's like, in a sense, when you want more, it's like a guilt is put upon you. Like, you not satisfied? Like, why do you want more? Like, damn, you still ain't happy? You got this? And it's just like, because I know there's so much more. Right. Like, you know.
And it's different once you get a certain amount too, right? Like when I've seen you, when I met you, you was going everywhere. And that hasn't stopped. Like you're a traveling person. A lot of people I know ain't been on a plane before COVID.
Right.
A lot of people that I'm cool with have not been on a plane before COVID. So COVID didn't start. I just want to get rid of that excuse for them. So that in itself is like, yeah, I'll hop on a plane, go somewhere. Like, that's a big deal for some people.
Yeah.
Planning, getting that together. So, you get there and you're like, yeah, that's not a big deal anymore.
Right.
Then you start making certain money and it's like, well, that's not a big deal anymore.
Right.
And I feel like that's really what happens even when you get more. It's like, you want more because there's a better comfort of life. There's more things that you can do to help people. There's more things that you can do to empower people, including yourself. It's not just, hey, I just want these grandiose things of a yacht, a mansion, and all of that. You know what I mean? Because really, when you start making this, after a while, it's just money.
It is.
It's just money.
It is. I have this saying, don't be mad at me.
You still want the money, though.
Oh, all of it.
I want to talk about it like that, but
all of it. I'm grateful for what I have, but I want some more. But
it's still like, it
just feels great. It just like, you look at it like, you know what? Thank you, God. But and it's so crazy because I always say that. It's like, thank you, God. What's next?
Yeah,
what's next?
You missing a zero on here.
Listen, no, man. One day I was so happy. I was sitting there in my Shopify account. I was like, thank you, God. I'm backing up. I'm like, all right, what the rest of that?
Yeah.
Like, let's keep this thing going.
Yeah.
But and it's not a place of greed. It's a place of like, if I'm here, I know more can come. Like, because I'm here now, because before I was trying to get here. So now that I'm here, I know it's more over there too.
But I also like the fact that you said you were talking about operating in faith, and operating in faith doesn't mean you don't fear anything.
Oh no.
Like, you still work in fear.
Of course.
It still could all fall apart.
It definitely could.
It still could all not work out. It still could all go away.
Very much.
But like, like we were talking about, is when you start seeing certain numbers, you start seeing certain positive things happening in your life, you're like,
this is cute.
All right, I'm willing to get more.
Ooh.
Because,
Like,
ooh.
Like, okay, this feels good.
Okay. A couple bands, okay.
Yeah, it's almost like the kid that was afraid to ask the girl to prom, and she was like, "Oh my God, yes, I've been waiting for you to ask." You like, you see the movie? He like, damn, she was waiting for me.
Man, I've been him.
Right.
Why am I sleeping on him?
I didn't know. I know now. Like, it's like you get a sense of like, get a new. I feel like you get a newfound
confidence,
confidence and belief in yourself.
Yeah.
But what I was gonna say is my saying is, don't fault me because I seen better. Now I want better, and I'm going for better, and I'm not going to stop trying to get better.
Right.
Like,
it's hard to go back. It's hard to go to Hamburger Helper when you had caviar.
Ew. Well, first of all, I must clearly be a little. I don't like Hamburger Helper. But you know what? It's so funny because me.
I was just.
I know. I just had a childhood thing. And
don't beat them Hamburger Helper. It's still a go-to.
It was, but I guess because the way
you got to.
My mom used to make it a certain way. Like I don't know, but it was only. You know what? I'm lying. There was one. It was one kind that we was okay with. But you know what? I really couldn't. I hated rice-a-roni. That was the most disgusting rice ever. Yeah. My mom knows she's wrong.
Nasty. It had like, I don't know why vegetables in it. Like, whatever that was just.
Sis, you wrong for this. Like, Mom, I'm gonna send this clip to you. You wrong for that. I'm sorry, because it was nasty. I'm sorry. I just had a whole flashback from my childhood. Okay, moving right along.
No, but that's why I was talking about, getting out there and traveling and seeing things, as well as just me knowing that is why you have such an expanded outlook on what you can obtain.
Yes.
Because you've been to different places. You know that, I mean, even going to different countries where you see people aren't doing that well makes you have even a level of gratitude for yourself. And then coming back here and seeing people from that country you may have been to and seeing what they got.
Right.
And you like, oh, if these people weren't born here and they getting this.
Yeah.
I know I can get that too. It's never a thing of like you're comparing yourself, but it's more like if they're human and I'm human,
I can get to the level.
I can do what humans do.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely. It really does take faith, and like you said, you're still operating in fear. But I would rather say you're operating in fear is what I like to call logic. Right? In a sense, because you be thinking in the space of like, now how could this actually happen? Like how could this happen? And those, I feel like, quote unquote, like rational thoughts can definitely, like, it's like a faith, like, oh, I believe, and then just like, but how type thing. It's like, it's a battle, because I've experienced that, like, because I'm a very logical person. I'm very a matter of fact, like scientific. Give me the facts behind it. And because I've always been that logical person, when certain things came, my faith would get blocked by my thoughts of logic, right? Okay, like realistically speaking, like, now how can I lose these 10 pounds in these 30 days if I just went and ate this cheeseburger, like, because I ain't have time to grab a salad, like, but literally just kind of going through those highs and lows of thoughts, like, and finding the space of when to bring in more or less those grounded logic thoughts, like, okay, like, let's be realistic, you know, some things are just like, okay, I'm not going to be a millionaire tomorrow.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
I'm not going to be a millionaire tomorrow, but I'm not saying I can't be a millionaire. I'm just being realistic with myself. It's 9 o'clock. I can't win a lottery because
just one easy thing for me about being a millionaire, and what's brought me a lot of ease as far as not being super patient. Like, I definitely am like, all right, we got to get it. We got to work a lot harder. And, you know, the closer and closer I get to it, I'm like, okay, well, we got to work beyond that. But it's more so the fact of how long does it even take to count to 1 million?
Not that long. You got a money machine.
That's still a long time.
No, it ain't. Get a good one. Get one of the big ones. I fantasized about this, as you can probably tell.
But I'm just saying, like, if you just sat around, you was just like, I'm gonna count to 1 million today. How long does that take?
That doesn't sound appealing.
How long does it take to count to 10? Like, things just take time. Is
it does. It does.
What I'm saying is, like, if you want to count to 1 million, that's going to take a long time.
Yeah, you're going to need a couple breaks.
Like, you're not even probably going to do it in a day.
Yeah, no. But I feel like that's
Or it's going to take so many hours, and you think you're supposed to have 1 million by tomorrow?
Listen, that part. But that's why my thought process is push yourself, but not over the edge. Because if you pushing yourself over the edge, like, you know how many times you have miscounted? You might actually have 900,000, and you done miscounted so many times because you exhausted,
right.
And you like, oh, I got 1 million, and you actually might only have 750,000. Like,
I think knowing your setting boundaries and having laws for yourself is cool, but we talked about working 5 to 5, and sometimes you push yourself because you got to have that new barometer of where you can go. So I think about it as in the gym, right? Like, when I first started lifting and really lifting, going to the gym, like bodybuilder style lifting, I could not bench press 315.
I mean, you saying that, I don't know what that means, but okay.
So 3 plates, I think it's 3 plates on each side.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, 1 plate was fine. One plate and a quarter plate and 1 45-pound plate. Okay. So essentially, over time, I would have to push myself to a certain point, and then when I come back, my muscles are stronger.
Right. And I'm not saying that. I'm saying don't push yourself over, because you can go and try to put, like, you can be working out Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Right. And on Saturday morning, if you think when you go in there, you going to do that 315, Like, come on. Like,
true.
So I'm just saying, like don't push yourself over the edge.
Don't put too much weight on the bar.
Right, exactly. Because
like
you're already extended yourself.
Right.
So it's like gradually get there because you're gonna get burnout. And burnout is real. So it's like if you don't actually, yes, I've experienced it. Burnout is very real because you get to the point where you're exhausted.
Right, but do you think if you were just working on your business and you was working on your business with the same type of, relentlessness that you have now and putting the same energy and time into it, you think you would get burned out?
On certain things, yes, you would. Like, you'll get tired of sometimes recording. Like you'll get tired of those things. Like, so I do believe that you will get burned out because you'll be doing it so much. I feel like your love for it will you'll kind of get tired of it.
It'll kind of go away a little bit. But I just feel like things that we're passionate about, we could kind of work on them for extended periods of time.
Yes.
That with other things that we're not or less passionate about.
Yeah, your limits are less.
We'll get burnout because we got to give that brain power to those other things.
Exactly. No, I'm with you, but
I just don't believe burnout is. I don't believe burnout is real when you're doing something that you really truly care about and really really want. Like
I disagree.
Right,
but and that's just
we can agree to disagree.
Disagree, definitely. And the reason why I disagree is because of the fact that like I shop, right, for my site. Like I sometimes get tired of looking at clothes. Like that's a burnout. That's exhaustion. I'm tired. Like I gotta take a break from this because now you're
tired. You're not burnt out. Burnt out is when you can't go back and look at it
for a couple days. Right. Yes. Because you got to think about it. It's not just the fact that I'm tired of looking at it. You got to realize as a business owner, I'm looking at it. I'm also trying to factor in so many things when I'm looking at like that. You kind of get to a point where you're mentally exhausted and burnt out for the day or two. To just like, okay, you know what? I've been at this thing for 2 days. Like when I was in here earlier, I was like, damn, they sold out of this skirt. And I've been looking.
I think that if you do it a certain way, I just feel like your brain gets bored is what I think.
Yes, I totally agree.
So you've been doing this 5 days in a row. It's like, okay, can we do something else? And then it's like, I miss it. I got to go back.
So that's why I'm like.
But burnout is like, I don't miss this. I don't want to do this. I'm depressed. I can't deal with this anymore.
Yes.
That I don't feel happens to people who are passionate about certain things. I just don't.
It's happened to me. And more
in your business?
Yes. I was tired of recording content and getting dressed and doing makeup and putting on clothes. Like, I'm tired. Like,
so you stopped it? You stopped?
I stopped for a little. No, I didn't stop my business. I didn't stop recording the content.
Exactly, but that got boring to you.
No, it didn't get boring. I was burnt out from doing it, bro. Like I have to put like. I feel like as a woman,
I believe you. I'm offering pushback because I really don't believe. I believe burnout is when you really burn out.
Let's look up the definition.
Look it up. I feel like we use a lot of words very loosely, and we just say them. Oh, I'm burnt out. Yeah, I feel like I've been burnt out where there was a loss of love, joy, everything, and I shut certain things down before. Like when I hurt my Achilles in basketball. I was burnt out. I haven't played basketball ever since.
It is character. Listen, three dimensions: feelings of energy depletion or exhaustion, increased mental distance from one's jobs or feeling. It's still a job.
Go ahead.
It's still a job. Very much. So how do I need to click on the whole thing. Negative thoughts. Wait, where did I go?
So it's exhaustion. We have exhaustion. And then we have depletion of energy.
Yes. Increased mental distance from one's job or feelings or negative cynicism. I think I'm saying that right. Related to one's job and reduce professional efficiency.
Yes, but
It's still a job.
Burnt out is when you can't. YouTubers have been burnt out and they've never come back to YouTube. Like there's people who have had real significant depression where they haven't come back to their jobs. Right? Owning your business is hard work. I know it's a job, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. Like I used to have a misconception about owning your business too. I thought you would go into business for yourself because we always talk about, you could do stuff on your time. Mm-hmm. Your business is your time.
It is.
You don't, especially in the very beginning, at least from just talking through experience. Like it's a kid.
Listen,
it's a baby.
It's so funny. At your job, you don't get 2 15-minutes in a 1 hour, 2 15-minute breaks in a 1 hour lunch. You don't get those. No laws and regulations.
There's nobody over you too.
No,
like that's the thing about business, doing things for yourself, is there's nobody telling you to go. There's nobody telling you to go and get it every day. There's nobody telling you to be more creative.
Yeah, you do have to have and I think I told you this for a second. That's why I said I was burnt out, because I had lost a little bit of my drive and ambition.
Right.
Like that's how I knew I was depleted. Like I'm experiencing burnout, but I also recognize it wasn't solely just my job, right? For me personally, I got burnt out because I am the only person making decisions, right? But my life called, every aspect of my life called for me to make decisions. So anything that I had to make decisions on, I did not want to do.
But do you think we're talking about faith, do you think it's the expectations that you had? Because personally for me, when I felt burnt out or I felt a certain way, there was a level of expectation that I had of where I would be at a certain time if I kept up a certain pace, or if I did these things, or if I did that. I thought I would be somewhere, and I feel like that is why I grew fatigued and exhausted, because I just thought that, hey, at this point, I should be here.
Right.
Or I shouldn't have to do this anymore. Or, man, we should be beyond this.
Yes, some of that, yes, and not all of it, right? I feel like I would always approach it like, I want to get there, right? I never expected, like, I want to get this, I want to get that. Like, there was expectations I had of myself when it comes to just, like, me getting things done, right?
Yeah.
Like, all right, okay, if I know I got these 7 things to do, what do I truly have the capacity to do? Like, what do I know I can actually get done? Those are going to be the things I work on. Like, that's how my expectations, and I held myself accountable. But when it comes to like being at a certain place, it's just like, nah, like, dang, I want to get here. Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, I feel like for me personally, the only thing I expect is for the life that I truly feel like I know I'm supposed to live, for it to actually come full circle. I don't really have like crazy expectations like, I'm supposed to be here by this time. Like, I don't really feel that way about it. Like, because I feel like if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Like, I'm more of the like, it's happening, like type thing, rather than like, bro, I want to get to 1,000 followers by here. Like, I want to get there. It's not like I expect that I'm going to have this. Like, no, because me doing that, I feel like I would get discouraged, right? Yeah. Because I'm actually putting my expectations ultimately in other people's hands. Right. Because I can't be my own 1,000 followers. Like, I don't have control over that. Right. The only thing I have control over is what I'm doing to get to what I want. So I don't have that expectation of, I'm going to get this. Like, nah, I'm going to keep putting this out here. I want it. It's going to come to me. I'm going to get it. Yeah. But I can't expect to get it because I'm literally expecting it from other people. The only thing that I expect is for God to allow it to come full circle. Yeah. That's it. When it comes, I have no control over it, because I can put in all the work for 30 days and get 0 results. I can put in hardly no work for 1 day and get the results that I was expecting from them 30 days. And it's just like,
but that is the result of them 30 days, is what's the crazy part.
In so many ways, yes. Yeah. But just like I was telling you, when I read my verse of the day, it said discouragement is it takes the replace of courage. right? Like, and I want to make sure I'm saying it right, but it basically discourage. Yes. When you're discouraged,
takes the place
of courage. Yeah, because ultimately, to get discouraged means to remove courage. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't feel, empowered to do those things because of that, that's why I'm like, I don't put those expectations, because then it's just like, damn, it's not happening. Like, and if that continuously happens, we set these expectations, especially expectations that are in the hands of others.
Right.
Like, you're going to be feeling like, me personally, I feel like I would get discouraged. Like, well, damn. Like, you kind of put that mirror of accountability, and you looking at yourself like, well, dang, what am I doing wrong? Or how is this not happening? Or whatever the case may be.
Well, what I've learned to do is, like, I still set benchmarks for myself.
That's different. I feel like benchmarks and
but I expected to, but I'm also going off of more data now. Like, year one, I'm trying to do numbers based off of what?
Right.
Off of other people's numbers, right? And that was the thing that, I was like, comparisons lead for joy, because you're like, well, if they could do it, I can do it. And it's like, okay, yes.
Right.
But they may have other things that you may have to figure out too. You got to figure out how to do it for yourself.
Right.
And what I also came into with just believing in myself and really thinking about, like, okay, let me pray about this. Let me figure this out. Let me have some faith in what I'm doing is, okay, it didn't happen, but I still set these benchmarks. Why didn't I reach them? Right. How can I? And that's
now, my favorite thing to do is retrospect.
Right. And then now we can get into the reflection period of how can we make this better? How can we go back and fine tune it so we can hit these, instead of, dang, I did all of this stuff. I should have hit it.
Listen,
that,
and I feel like the beauty of that is kind of like more live retrospecting and in really learning how to pivot in those moments. Like, I feel like I mentioned this before, fourth quarter, like, pivot. Like, that is probably the best thing or trait you can have as an entrepreneur.
It's just hard when, like, for myself, having kids, trying to be the best dad,
right.
You know what I'm saying? And not having kids in what I would call ideal situations, which I think that's even a comparable thing, because it's like, there is no ideal situation to have a kid.
No,
like,
but it is for you.
Right.
But
for me,
there is, everybody I feel like there's in my honest opinion, I feel like people be like, oh, the perfect life. There's no such thing, but there's an ideal.
Right.
Like, there's an ideal. Like, what would your ideal life? Because nothing is never perfect, right? So ideally, like, what would you like it to look like? And that's your ideal. And that's, I feel like that's how you build you build and shape your manifest around the ideal things that you want. Like, what do you want it to look like, right? And then I feel like when you ask that question to some people really don't know.
Nah, like, I know exactly how I want it to look.
But in that, right? but in that, that is how you walk in your faith, right? Because you got that idea you didn't come up with that.
True.
You didn't, God planted that in you for you to work towards it. That He just gave you the life that you're supposed to be living. And that's your ideal life for you. So now you got to figure out how to get there. He set it up. Just walk the path.
Yeah. That's crazy, though, because you don't be thinking, like, the path got, like, rough patches. You know what I'm saying? You like, God, you ain't paved this.
But listen, one thing he said.
You know you ain't paved this, right? Oh, this a dirt road?
Listen. and
why they on sidewalk on this one?
And that sermon, he made it very clear. He said weapons is going to they're going to form.
Yeah.
They just not going to prosper. Like, you got to, like, but those are the things, those bumps are going to be able to help you.
And I'm sorry.
Those bumps are going to be able to help you. So when you come to your ideal, driveway and is rocks and you trying to figure out why it's not paved, now you know how to fix it. Like you know how to pivot and you know how to move around it.
And you just got to have faith in period. You got to walk in some type of
belief.
faith.
In some type of belief. Yes, you do.
You have to. And it, you know, we're talking about our faith, but you definitely just have to have some belief in what you're doing. This vision came to you for a reason.
Yep.
You know, yeah, if it's the NFL and you weigh 105 pounds and you 5'3", you may have to just see if that was the right vision, because now you may have to train somebody or do something else. But, you know, there's obviously, we talk about reality and logic and stuff like that. But there's...
But in that scenario, right? Like, because I feel like your ideal is almost like that dream you remember, but you don't remember all the details.
Right.
Because if, like, think about it. If,
okay.
you know what I'm saying?
Like you can see the stadium, you can see the field, but you ain't know you was on the sidelines.
You didn't know you was the coach.
Yeah, true. You know that's what I'm saying. You wasn't even in pads. You ain't got no helmet. You just like, yo, I know I'm supposed to be
right.
And that'd
be my thing.
There's a story of this kid, man, who's the photographer for the Miami Dolphins now.
Okay.
And I saw it on TikTok, and he was talking about how he reached out to, it was like the NFL players were somewhere in New York or something, and he reached out to a bunch of them.
I think I saw that, and he went with them to like London or something.
He went somewhere in the States, and he was like, "Can I take photos of you guys free?" And like in videos, because he was doing it for high school. So he edited that stuff up, and I think he got to do something with Tyreek Hill. And he did it for free on an arm. And then Tyreek Hill was somewhere else, and he did it on the arm there too. And then that got him exposed to other players. So he did stuff for them. And then, of course, Tyreek Hill gets in Miami, and now he's a photographer for the Miami Dolphins.
Okay, it wasn't Miami. It was the New York Giants, I think. It was someone that did something.
It could be this guy. We don't know the story.
No, I don't think it's the same guy, but that's dope.
It's a young kid, and essentially he was like, I want to tell you guys how I became the NFL a photographer for the NFL. And then it started with him playing football, and then it started with him recording football for his high school team and doing highlights. So yeah, sometimes what you see, right? I may see myself as this big podcaster.
Yep.
But I've also learned how to produce a podcast.
Yep.
I've learned how to film a pod.
Like, be the media company.
Right. I'm like, so there's things that I'm figuring out, and along the way, you know, this just I may be Death Row Records. You know what I mean?
Why Death Row? Don't be Suge Knighting people.
Hey, you know.
Okay. Yeah. So.
No, I chose Death Row because Tupac was for Death Row, and he's one of the best rappers of all time. So.
Okay, I can see that. However, clever.
I would love to have greatness under me.
That's wonderful. I mean, Biggie, but anyway. Okay. But I would definitely say, like, I'm a firm believer of that. It's just like, so, like, I always say this, like, I know I'm supposed to be rich, but I just haven't quite figured out how I'm gonna get there yet. Like,
you pretty. You know, that's the funny thing though, is that I'm trying to figure out how to say this without sounding. We're not hurting though. I mean, I'm not in your pockets, but like, I mean, you live a nice life.
If there's any sugar daddies out there looking.
No, but seriously, like, I don't want to, and I'm not, we're blessed. We're very blessed. That's all I'm saying. And, and like, so. I mean, I know a different life. You know, I know not being able to just go, I can go out and do things. And I guess I'm just sharing my gratitude here. Is like, I can go out and just get something to eat. I can go out and get something to drink. I can go out and do whatever. I can hop on a plane and go somewhere and stay for a couple of days. Like, my life isn't where it once was.
Amen.
And that's,
let's take a moment. Let's take a moment and just say thank you, God, for the growth and for all of the things that has come about, so I can even be appreciative of where I'm at right now, and just actually being able to kind of retrospect where I was and where I've come from, and just be grateful. I'm beyond grateful of growth, of the experience, the exposure of all the different things, because those life lessons are priceless.
Yeah.
beyond priceless.
And wherever you are in life, whoever's listening to this, whoever you are, just be grateful for what you have, and that's life. Right. Sometimes that was all I had to be grateful for, was the fact that I was here to another day to be able to have an opportunity to get it done again. And we not trying to give y'all no sermon, you know what I'm saying? But hey, it is what it is.
Call me sister.
But seriously, operate in a space of belief and faith in what you're doing and what you're trying to achieve always.
Yep.
And just be grateful for the fact that you have breath in your lungs to be able to get it, go after it, or try to accomplish it another day if it didn't happen that day.
And when fear comes about and doubt, because it's going to, you're human. No matter how much you believe in yourself and what you're doing, just know that you're going to have those moments of doubt. You're definitely going to have those moments of doubt. You're going to have those moments of beating yourself up. You have to learn to give yourself space and grace.
Yes.
Like, give yourself space. But the thing about it is, and this is something I take pride in, I'm very accountable to myself. I'm going to be accountable to myself before anybody else can.
Right.
Like, because you're not about to chin check me. I already chin checked myself.
Right.
Because I have to hold myself to a certain standard because of how I show up in the world. So because I want to show up in the world as the person I know I'm supposed to be, I'm going to chin check myself. Like, oh, I probably shouldn't have did that. So if somebody come up to me, I know I've already taken care of that. I've already done the work. I've already spoke to myself in the mirror about that. Thank you for bringing it to my attention, but it's handled. Like, can't nobody, you're not about to chin check me on something I did. I done did it to myself, because what you say don't bother me as much as what I think about me.
Right.
So you definitely got to give yourself space and grace, and make sure you hold yourself accountable. And I always say comedians are the best teachers in my opinion, because I never forget. I wish I remember what comedian said this, but if you identify your flaws before anybody else, no one can ever use them against you. So if you hold yourself accountable, like I said, and check yourself, there's nothing else anyone can say to you.
Yeah, man. Accountability is not sexy, but like Rich Auntie said, space and grace. Just keep that for yourself, man. And what you say, don't overwork yourself.
Push yourself, but not over the edge.
Push yourself, but not over the edge. Remember that. And as always, keep it uplifting.
You so stupid. But no, I'm telling you, I really do. I really.
Make sure to like, comment, share, and most importantly, keep it uplifting.
Take it up, listen.